Hi guys, we're back. I hope everybody is prepared. So tonight's edition. Well, actually, before we get into the what, can we introduce everybody? Talk about who each one of you are, what your status for streaming history is, and any of that information. We'll just go right around the.
I'm hearing the echo off of somebody.
Not me. Who's listening to this on another app? I don't know.
Nope.
Not me. Not it.
Not it.
Hello?
I'm not sure where it's coming from.
All right. Well, it sounds like somebody's got an extra internet app open, like the actual streaming platform. So just double check your internet. Make sure you don't have more than one application open, say the Twitch app and the StreamYard.
Nope.
I closed all applications before I started.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I hear it now. Quite honestly, somebody got it fixed. All right. Awesome. Thank you all. So before we go into tonight's subject. Oh, I think I hear it. I think I hear it's back.
My mic was muted till just now, so.
Oh, Radical said no echo now. All right, Mod of the Century, thank you very much for the confirmation. We appreciate it. All right, let's try again. So going around the room, we'll go clockwise. Big J, you're first. Just talk about, who you are and what you stream and how long you've been streaming.
My name is Big J. I'm the leader of Too Lit. I've been streaming for over 3 years. 2 on Mixer and then 1 on Twitch. And I'm just, a guy looking to network with people, make friends, and grow as a community.
Awesome.
Not as an individual, but as a whole.
Love it. Jinkies.
Yeah, I am Miss Jinkies. I am one of the admins of the Too Lit community. I've pretty much been here since the beginning. And Too Lit is my home away from home. I love you guys and I'd do anything for y'all. I have been streaming, I think, 3 years, maybe 4. I started out on Mixer, and when Mixer fell, I moved over to Twitch. And I'm not very regular these days, but I'm working towards getting back. But I'm kind of what you would call a chill streamer. So I don't do like Call of Duty or any of those big shooty games with the occasional Fortnite. But yeah, that's me. And like I said, I'd do anything for the Too Lit community. It is my home away from home. It might be Jay's idea, but it still kind of feels like my baby too.
Nice. Let's go on to Raider.
Raider T11 here. Veteran advocate, podcast host of Raider News Show. Also a streamer. Just started streaming for about, I think, 3 weeks and finally got affiliate that time. Thanks Big J and to the community. Basically here as anything you really need. Mediator, somebody to talk to give you an objective view, because I'm not very good with the emotional aspect of it.
Glow.
My name's Glow Info. I'm streaming for a while, since last November, I think. Got affiliated end of February. I come from Ladies and Gentlemen Gaming, but I have recently joined the Lit family as well, because a lot of good people, a lot of good ideas, and I vibe on some of the ideas and plans for the future. So that's basically me, just like streaming and feeling good with you all.
Fabulous. And Peaches.
Hey, I'm Peaches 18-2000, variety streamer, and I'm from Louisiana, USA, and just here supporting Shiny and having fun with the Too Lit community.
Yes, we love that support. I'm your host, Shiny Hero 2873. I really couldn't tell you how long I've been streaming. I'd say maybe a year-ish. Also admin for Too Lit. Jay was kind enough to take me under his wing, and I conversely took him under my wing, and we've been helping each other ever since to do bigger, better, be better, think better, right? Loves it. Hearts all around. Yay. I gotta say I'm kind of nervous. So for tonight's episode, we are going to do he said, she said. And what I mean by that is we're going to be giving varying perspectives from, say, the female mind to the male mind, specifically in tonight's discourse about the work-life balance aspect that comes up in most relationships. And that kind of ties into a lot of things I've seen lately about especially on like TikTok, Facebook, other social media platforms, about men feeling like they're either underappreciated or their wives leave them and they're really hurt and devastated and they don't understand what happened. And conversely, women on the other end saying, my husband works too much. I feel lonely. I feel emotionally abandoned. He's all about work. He doesn't really care about nurturing the relationship, and so on and so forth. So we're going to kind of dig into that a little bit tonight and see if we can't find some compassion between each other to bridge that a little bit and maybe help the knowledge gaps. And I want to at first ask everyone to just say, if things start to get heated or very intense, that maybe we just kind of step back, take a deep breath, and realize that we're all friends here, that we all have and are entitled to our opinions. And, at the end of the day, we're still our best support system we've got. So just kind of keep an open mind for other people's opinions. It's okay to dissent. Just allow for those differences. So that's really kind of the framework I want to introduce around this concept. First and foremost, Raider and I had this conversation to kick it off, and he and I had talked about what kind of content we wanted to do for tonight. So Raider, you and I have been kind of trying to put something together for a while now. You've really been an active participant in our chat, really shouting out some very thoughtful, well-meaning and good perspectives from the male mindset. And I just want to say thank you for all the contributions that you made to this point. But as I said, when you and I were talking about it, we did disagree, didn't we?
Oh, a whole lot. It's always going to be disagreeing with you. You can put me in there. Just not gonna, just let you know. Even if I like your statement, if I don't think it's 100% rational or logical, I'm going to say it.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, what we agreed was love is not always rational. Feelings are not always rational. And while I feel like you did take on that very logical, you had a well-structured argument around what you were saying, I still walked away thinking like, oh man, yeah, that still kind of hurt, and it was hard.
That's why I said, look, there always has to be a referee with me involved. There has to be, because I put the standpoint out there, and I'm to better terms of I beat a dead horse.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'll listen to myself talk for hours on end if I have to. I have to do it with a podcast, everything like that. So I have to hear my voice, which I hate hearing in the first place. All the time, just look at it all. So,
all right. Well, quick shout out to Shayna Seidel. I want to thank you for joining us and for the host. We do appreciate it. Scode Satan, also love you. Thank you for coming in. Also for the other folks hosting. Glow, I see you've got us queued up. Nice job. Thank you. Just for the record, I'd like to ask our panel the following question. And Raider, I already know your answer, but how many of you have been in a relationship where you had an argument about either the one person wanting you to spend more time with them and feeling like you weren't putting enough time into nurturing the relationship versus the conversation around money and making sure ends met and that you were creating a viable income source to support your lifestyle? Jay, Peaches? Nope.
Of course.
Nowhere in there. All right. Oh, Jay, you got okay. So this really kind of goes into that whole discussion about what we said with men saying, you have to be responsible. We have to make sure we have a viable income. And in some cases, the extremes that occur. And that could be, whether it's working 7 days a week or being away from the home for an extended period of time. And then even when the couple is at home and together, there's still kind of that divide where, at this point now the man wants to rest, or whoever the breadwinner is, whatever. I don't want to alienate the women here, but whoever the breadwinner is, they just want downtime, right? So you've worked. Now you're like, I need downtime. And you're not really still not invested in the relationship at this point. Any thoughts on just from that perspective only? And Raider, I'm going to push it to you first because I feel like you're going to lead some of this dialogue and the guys are going to fill in behind you. So just kind of give me a summary snap on that about what we were talking about last night with that sort of.
All right. So just first and foremost, women out there, do not hate me when I say this. Men have always had genetically that stature historically, structurally, just every dynamic to be the protector, be the provider, to actually be that one person that if something's wrong with the family, he's got to be the one to fix it. He's got to be one to make sure that everything's taken care of, every single bill is done, everything like that. And guess what? At the end of the day, he's going to do it. He's going to complain about sometimes too, but the same thing is he's getting it done. And when it comes to that standpoint, on the female aspect, I believe, I see it, and I get it all the time from my wife. You don't spend time with me. You're always doing something. You're stretching yourself too thin, everything like that. But in my head is I'm doing this stuff for my own sake. On top of this, to know that everything's going to be taken care of. I don't have to make you do everything over here financially. If I do all this stuff, it's financially stable, everything like that, we're going to get to that plateau where we can just be good. I don't have to work myself to death. This, that, and the third. We always think about that, and I could tell China last night, I'm trying to build a dynasty for my kids, so I don't have to worry about it. Because one thing is, I've always told is your kids need to outlive you, but you can't leave them with debt. You can't leave them with all these things that just make all the society how it is nowadays. Is everybody's out here trying to get a loan because they don't have a way to financially support themselves. So what else are you going to do? So I'm thinking ahead like 10, 20, 30 years of I'm building a dynasty. I'm going to make sure my family's taken care of, make sure food's on the table, roof over their head, all bills paid. Why make somebody else stress about that? And it doesn't always work out to that equilibrium, relationship standpoint of middle ground. Because I'm on the far right side of it. Most women are on the far left of I want somebody there.
Glow, Big J, you want to add to that?
Well, let me put it this way. Like, I totally agree with Raider here because I'm not necessarily saying that like women can be. I know a couple of women who like are providers for their families, and the men are like house husbands. But that's way. But it is most of time it is like when you get immersed in work, like you get immersed like get the overtime in to get money, especially if you are the sole breadwinner for the family. And you leave early in the morning, you come back late, then you do stuff around the house. In the evening, like she would be like, "Oh, let's watch a movie together." Yeah, let's watch a movie together. 5 minutes in, you're out cold. Next moment, you get your head washed over like over stuff. Like, oh, you're always falling asleep. Interesting, why? And that is a big like that's where the arguments start with them little bits.
Jay, anything to add on that?
Yeah, so I know this day and age, this generation is a lot different versus the past. I know old school, it was more men being the ones to be the breadwinner and the woman kind of just be at home and take care of the kids and stuff like that. It's a whole new day and age. Honestly, I've been in relationships where the woman was the breadwinner. I've been in relationships where I was the breadwinner. I mean, I don't judge. I don't have any thing on like, how can I put, like, no disrespect to like how they did it old school, but I just know that this day and age I approve of either or. Like, I don't judge. I'm not one to be like, I'm a breadwinner, so you're gonna listen to what I say. If we both are in this, either or, I respect it, you know. So I respect a lot of the women that are breadwinners, you know. I respect that.
So what you're saying is, which I'm not against it at all. I'm not saying that it can't be both or can't be the woman doing it. I'm going into the standpoint of how us, like you were raised up the same way I was, old school around that. Yeah. Yeah, you take care of your family. You gotta, you gotta be the one to provide. You gotta do this, that, and third, and it's beaten into you. It's always like, you see it, you watch it. It goes back to that, even down to the emotionally ingrained things of, hey, you're the man of the house. You gotta take care of everything here. Little bitty small little specs put into everything, and I know my own faults on it, and unfortunately, I don't think they're faults, because to me is, if I don't do it, who else is? And it comes down to that situation of, what if the woman wants to be the breadwinner? Go ahead, if she wants to do it, go ahead, give her the opportunity. But what happens if that doesn't work out right? Then you're both without means of financially supporting everything. Then that's why in my head's like, if I get it done, then she can get a job she actually wants, not this jobby job just to try to make ends meet. So that's always my standpoint. Is I'm always taking care of them, even though Shani's going to laugh at this. Even though emotionally, that's actually my greatest thing of greatest grandeur is like, I'm trying to make sure you can do what you want to do, not you have to do. But it doesn't
And
go that. It doesn't translate that way. And I can ask Shani, it doesn't translate that way at all.
no, because in my head, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, if I'm your wife, my first inclination is, but I love you and I want to spend time with you and I want to feel like we're bonding and I want to feel that reassurance. I want that connection. I need that connection. I need that interaction. I thrive on it. That gives me emotional security that money will not. And I would rather be poor and know that, on a basic level, things are taken care of than the big stuff. And I mean, like, I grew up in a household, I'll say, middle of the road. Um, there were some things that were given to me, but I've had a job since I was 13. Like, it was ground into me, you got to work. You're not just going to get things. You're not going to have a guarantee of this, that, or the other thing. But the one thing that I've always want that's always been consistent above money, above riches, above all of that has been love. Call me a hopeless romantic. Maybe I'm foolish, but for me, it's not logical. It's what I want. It's what I need. It's what deep down inside me makes my clock tick. And I can't not have a partner who's not there. Like it's like a festering wound. It makes me cry. It makes me feel empty. It makes me feel like a piece of my soul is missing. I did not marry you to be alone and to feel lonely. I want a companion. And I feel like if we both figure it out, that we can find another way. We can find a way to make it work. We can find a way to partner in this so that you're not carrying one half of that burden and I'm carrying solely and explicitly another half of that burden. And believe me, I know, because I had kids, how tough that can be. And I know the trials and tribulations that being a parent can be, but I also know that when one person is the parent, at least speaking for myself, that when I was still married and I was the primary homebody, I was going insane. I'm like, I need to work. I can't be around these kids all day long. I will lose my shit. I need to work. I need to feel like I'm contributing. And I'll tell you another thing. I cannot be dependent on a man. I don't want somebody saying, you have an allowance. You get what I tell you, you get. And that's kind of unfair because I'm saying that's my perception of the situation. I'm saying that's how it is, but that's my perception. And I literally, I want to have a mental breakdown feeling like someone's trying to control me and tell me what I can and cannot do. It's childish, I know, but we're not talking about logic and reason. We're talking about emotions. We're talking about love, affirmations, those things. I'm going to stop there because I want to hear from Jinkies and I want to hear from Peaches as we heard from Glow and Jay. So ladies, who wants to grab onto that?
I guess I'll start. I can understand not wanting to be alone and wanting to have time with your partner. I think for me, it was a little more about um, those days off. It wasn't really about, I tried to understand the situation when I was a housewife that in those situations, yeah, come home, you got a house full of kids, you got stuff, even though I was doing stuff, there was still stuff, that he had to do, and I try to make it easier on him by having the food and everything that a housewife should do. I mean, I'm assuming a housewife should do. But at the same time, I understood when it came nighttime, he's going straight to sleep. He's tired. He's worked a long day, 8, 10, 12-hour shift. So my issue would come up when it was that day off, that day or two that they have off, if they have those days off. And it's like, okay, well, I want to hang with my friends. I don't want to hang with you and the kids on this day off. I want to hang out with my friends on these days and do what I want to do. And it's not family time. You know, those were my issues. It wasn't necessarily during the week. It was that Sunday or that Saturday where you got time off, and instead of spending time me and the kids who've been waiting all week to spend time, you want to go somewhere else and do
Yeah.
something else. That was an issue, and that became an issue later on. But I would say I can understand Raider when he says, "Hey, after a long day of work, I come home, I gotta deal with more stuff, more drama. I want to just go to sleep." At some point, even me now when I'm doing it myself, I understand. You come home, you have more stuff to do. You don't want to hear someone screaming your name, wanting something done, asking for something. You want to just go take an hour or two nap. You want to get some sleep. You're drained. So when you actually live both sides of it, you understand better what the man is going through. And then it's easier to accept the fact that, yeah, you can't get that everyday attention. But from a woman's aspect, I can understand wanting some. At the end of the long week, and the man has had enough rest, and he has an extra couple of hours. Hey, come sit down, hold my hand, watch a movie. Eat a meal with me, that kind of situation. Have a date night. So I do understand both sides of it, but I do kind of agree with Radar on the fact that men need a break too. I mean, even single moms, we need a break too. It's always gonna be that point in time where you need to just tone it down, relax, and not have someone wanting to be held all the time and talked to all the time. So I can understand you, Shiny, but I guess I'm a little different because I kind of think more along the sides of give me a little time. I don't need a lot of time. You know.
Jinkies.
I think my situation is a little different because I have been married, but I haven't been married. So it's kind of complicated. But I do remember during that short amount of time where I was, we had disagreements on like the finances, on who was doing what, or if anyone was getting time spent with each other. And it was actually completely reversed. He got mad at me because I supposedly wasn't spending enough time with him. And I was a little upset that he wasn't focusing on, we need stability. We need to be able to survive and things like that. And in the end, it kind of became our demise, and why it didn't last because we couldn't agree on anything. But now I'm in a relationship where we're both, I guess you would say, quote unquote, breadwinners. We don't live together, but we're working to make a life together so we can live together. And we're both struggling where we want to spend time with each other, but we're both really tired at the end of the workday, and we can't.
Tibbies. I'm going to ask another question. Who here likes sex?
Who doesn't?
Exactly. You're right.
All right. So here's the thing. Here's my next beef with this whole working like, I feel like men are working themselves into an early grave. And I'm gonna be stereotypical now. It could be the woman, whatever. But I feel like when you work that hard, okay, not only are you putting less time into the relationship, less nurturing the relationship, but I feel like the quality of sex goes downhill too, because at that point, nobody's really putting in the time or has the time to devote to like a full bevy of activities, right? It's like, all right, 1, 2, 3, whatever. I mean, maybe you get a little creative, but like, I remember the days of like an afternoon. And it seems like when you're working that hard, that evaporates. So now not only are you not having that quality physical time, but now you're not having that emotional time either. So now you've got, okay, 3 things. Okay, great, you have money, but now your relationship is not as stable as it could be, and you're also being deprived of a healthy sex life.
Yeah.
So I mean, I look at that and I hear what you're saying, Raider, about leaving a dynasty for kids, but at what cost? I mean, after 18 years, when the kids start moving on, now you're with a partner who may be distant, even if you're still together by after 18, when your kids are 18, right? Because at that
Yeah.
point, you may not have made of the distance, gone the distance, because all those other things seeped in.
Yeah.
So
And that's 100% agreeable. But in my, just on my perspective, it always goes back to you, like, because I'm a stepdad. I'm not the bio dad. So it's one of those things that I didn't help create these children. I accept these children. They accept me as their dad overall. So it goes to that standpoint of that extra pressure, instead of me just like, oh, I pay the bills. That's that. I gotta worry about them, because in my head, I always think about everything future wise. Because guess what? The right now is always going to suck. Is what you're going to do next.
yeah, no, I feel
And
that. I feel that. I do. I mean, I went through a bankruptcy with my first husband, but I will tell you this much. Before that marriage deteriorated for unrelated reasons, at the very beginning, we were a team because nobody really wanted us to be together in the first place. So we had all the more reason to kind of go into it like Bonnie and Clyde, so to speak.
that
And
makes
and
sense
just
to me, because that's how we are. That's how me and my wife are. Nobody still wants us together most of the time. So it's one of those things. But
But
yeah,
I'm just saying,
continue.
like he and I, because we were so in the beginning strongly bonded, it didn't matter what the struggles were. We had nothing. We would joke around about not having a pot to piss in. This is, and we had our first kid together. And it was like, okay, well, you know what? Things are going to gradually get better. We just have to have faith in each other and faith in the situation, that as we work towards that goal, that we're still committed to being a team. And we made time at the end of every day to sit with each other. We made time to have a robust sex life. We made time. And he was working, I think at the time, 2 jobs. He was working for the town, but he was also freelancing on the side. What he didn't do was make sure all of his free time was taken up by either of those activities. Like there was a point where he would make sure he was home by 5 o'clock. He would learn to say no to people and say, you know what, I can't. 5 o'clock, I got to be home. Um, Even on the weekends, he would be like, all right, I'm going to go get this done in the morning and then I'll be back in the afternoon and let's go to the park. So those were all positives that he made that effort, and we found balance. And I mean, at one point I even took on a paper route just to have additional income. And, you find ways, you do what you need to do to put into that relationship. I mean, that's just my experience. And so again, when I see the now of somebody not being around and hearing this discourse from people who have jobs, who, if they're out of the country for 6 months out of the year, or they're on a job site for a year, and then they lament, well, my wife left me for whatever. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, well, what did you think was going to happen? Like, because everybody goes into a relationship, I think, with good intentions, right? But until you go through a year of loneliness, you don't actually know how it's going to impact you. So I don't think it's unreasonable for people to go into that with a hella caution and say, maybe I don't get married. If I know that I want to have and work these kinds of hours, maybe I just don't get into a solid relationship like that. Because in that way, you're not putting those expectations that you're going to be emotionally and physically available to that person, because your life is really about money.
Yeah.
It's not about connection. And I don't know. I mean, am I getting it wrong? I mean, that's kind of my
agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, bring it. I want to hear the discourse. Come on, Glow.
Like discourse, this comes from personal like experience that you meet with a girl, like I got together with her, like we started living together. She had 4 kids, so the youngest one was really young and all that, so she could not work. So some kind of like benefits and all that, but that was all shit. And I always at that time worked in construction. I worked like 12 hours a day, Monday to Thursday, and I would work 7 hours on Friday. And Saturday job sometimes was on, sometimes was not. You get up in the morning about 5:30, 6 o'clock to be on a site by 7. You come home about 6:30, half past 6 in the evening, and during all day there is nothing has been done at home. So you are doing a general tidy up. You are cooking because she could not cook to save her flipping life. And for me, when I grew up, like dinner, like or supper, whatever, like wherever you come from, is dinner or supper. Like that's a family meal. So you cook for everyone, sit everyone together, let's have a meal and all that. The next moment is young ones, like they were off the charts. Like by the time you get them to bed and everything, it's 10 o'clock. Screw all the funny time. I'm done by that moment.
Yeah.
And then and then you do like all Saturdays, Sundays. Like for example, like most of the time I wasn't working. Saturday
Okay.
and Sunday, so like you plan to go somewhere, do somewhere. There'll be always some kind of drama. There'll be always something with her friends or with her family or whatever. There was a lot of issues, and in the end, you are just like so wrecked, like drained. Not even physically. Like physically, I was right. I was great. Like just put her like naked in front of me. Like I my sex drive is nice. Like I'm good with that. Like but to get to that point that you actually want to get that moment, like you're emotionally drained just by a sole unappreciation of what you're doing. Like Peach is just talked a minute ago, like, and everything what she says is working man's or like okay, I'm talking like cliche, but if that's a working man and he's like the sole breadwinner, or working woman and she's a sole breadwinner, if other person can like more or less keep the house clean, wait with dinner and all that at home, like more or less food is ready, like you don't have to worry about simple things like that. So general housework, something what needs hand or whatever, but then you have this quality time, then you have at least couple of hours in the evening, then you have these weekends together. But that asks for both people to work. You can't just put on one person, oh, he's always thinking about money. Yeah, I'm thinking about money. I'm earning money to make the ends meet, as Ryder says. But if the other person won't put in their 2 cents and all that, just to get everything, like more or less everything else done, it's never going to work. And you can't blame the person who is the sole breadwinner.
Here's my question on that, though. So you said something about getting the kids to bed. They were crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So all right. So hear me out on this. So I know when my kids were young and, in that stage of baby and toddler that was running around the house, and then they both were toddlers. And then, you had a toddler and a 5-6-year-old. I couldn't get shit done. because it was like trying to make sure nobody choked to death or put like something in their nose, in their eye. I like just trying to keep two human beings alive. I couldn't fucking do it. I'm not a master planner like that. I mean, I would try and get them like in front of the TV for like a half hour or something so I could just get something done, whether it was like a load of laundry or something else. But like, my God, I was so fucking depressed and beat
get
up
you on that.
emotionally. And then to have a husband come home who's too emotionally depleted to deal with me, let alone the kids. Now we're both just fit to be tied. Again, if everybody's too tired to put in energy into the relationship, why does anyone expect it to work? Why does anybody think, oh, gee, I'm bitter, it shouldn't have failed? Why? Why wouldn't it have failed? Yeah, everybody set it up to fail.
Just
Okay, you go ahead, Glo.
just a quick one, like, yeah, but like you are talking about you being drained with the two kids and the housework, like, but at the same time, if like at least you are trying to do it, like probably thinking about hanging yourself, but like still you are trying to do it. But like if the other person is all like can relate to you all the friends dramas or being, I'm sorry, gaming all day, and that's all they've been doing, then screw that.
Yeah. I mean, was there ever a conversation about boundaries with the family and friends to say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what, we got to invest in the time? So, okay, so you were at least making the effort to try and bridge some of those gaps.
Yeah, but like that will, in the end, like you are made a joke because you are the one like not being at home. You are not the one. Yeah, but like even you, if you are at home, like there's nothing like simple things. If you can't like from top landing of staircase, if you can't pick up a dog poo, what the dog did like in the morning after I left, then where else do you go with that?
I'm just curious to know. I mean, I'm just gonna ask, were there any other issues with her not being put out there, whether it was mental or
Oh, no.
emotional
Like
or
everything was pushed down to like people like to use mental health issues as an excuse, and that would be
sure.
one of them. Because all my previous like I've gone through like a couple of abusive relationships, so like I just can't deal with it. Okay, like if you want to live if you want to live in a shithole, be my flipping guest. I'm out.
Right. Anybody want to kick in some thoughts here?
I'm gonna several topics actually on the sex aspect. I would say that when it comes to relationships, I think people put on pretenses in the beginning of what they're capable of doing, what they're willing to do, and once you get in a serious relationship where you know you're with this person for a long time, the excitement kind of dies down, and then it gets to be where they get bored, or if they don't get bored, they were just pretending in the start, like about what they like, what they didn't like, just to basically, I'm not gonna say, I would say trap you, but it's more or less um, get you to like them more. So maybe you're into certain things that that person's not into, and they basically pretend. But then
I feel this one. Oh
think
yeah.
about it, but then like a year down the road, and then they're like, well, I don't actually like that. I just did that for you, and then it can go downhill.
Oh, gaslighting at its very best.
Oh,
No,
I
I
hate
guess,
that
like,
one. And I know as soon as you started to say it and clarify it, I'm like, that makes so much sense, and so many things that I can't even, my little brain just fuck.
well, with that right there, I'm not even that. It's just the fact that I've been in a lot of relationships. Unfortunately, I'll say it that way. There's always that demeanor of what the heck. What you get?
That's me. I threw that one up there because I agree with this one. Like, don't stop flirting. Don't stop flirting with me. I won't stop flirting with you.
I get that.
Oh yeah,
But,
agree on that.
Like,
yeah, I get that. I'm just
I'm a romantic. I want it. I want that all the time. I will put in that effort, but I don't feel like it's gonna.
Yeah.
It's returned.
But you gotta realize, most guys aren't that romantic anymore. I mean, I
Touch
know
my
it's
butt. Doesn't have to be that romantic. Touch my freaking butt. All right. You know what? A nice little soft whoosh. Great. That counts.
but you
I
gotta
mean,
realize they
you're
do
right
all
about
that in
that.
the chase. They chase you. They do all that to get you to draw you in. But then once they have you after like a couple of years, I mean,
I'm sorry,
they
like
already got you.
if a man can stop touching your butt, like the man has problems.
Yeah, I agree. Like Peaches, we were talking about this earlier today. The reason why, like, even just going on specific, why men have that. Let's say they have that perfect housewife.
Yeah.
Let's say they have them that actually, cooks, cleans, keeps the whole house tidy, everything. Kids are completely managed. Man gets home, gets his 2 hours to relax, vent.
Two
2 hours on the
hours.
shower. Yeah, let's just give me a second. I'm getting there. Okay, gets that whole like time to vent, and all of a sudden, he goes to bed. He doesn't touch the woman. Okay, and then all of a sudden he leaves her or cheats on her, and the women in the tulip were asking the question of why. I put it spending it out there. It's like honestly, is because most men love to chase. They like, and also to the standpoint of it goes to that biological thing of anybody really. You want what you can't have. Women do the same thing of, oh, I can fix him. Oh, I can just change this one thing about myself. Men do the same thing of, oh, I can do this. I get it, and also I get it. It's like, well, I got it now. What the hell am I supposed to do with it?
But I think that's where the flirting and all day foreplay comes involved.
It doesn't always work that way because every man and woman is different because the standpoint of what is your love language, or whether they call it love language. Some people's
Yeah.
physical touch, some people's talking, words of affirmation, some people's gifts. Then it always can also offend them because you're trying to help do that to them because they think that, oh, you're just trying to get laid. That's it. They don't think it's actually real when you are trying to be sincere.
Be that as it may, I'd rather at least see the effort than just coming to me at the end of the day and say, hey, you want to, like,
Oh, you want to do
don't
something?
come at me at the end of the day with nothing before that, because, women obviously operate differently than men. You can go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly, where we're more of a slow simmer, get us burning, let's do, and then go on. So it's like, even if we acquiesce to that moment of, 10, 15, 20 minutes, but if it's not real, if there hasn't been any other effort outside of just the straight, at the end of that, it's kind of like, what am I, your pincushion? Like, that did nothing for me. Like, I want a little more enticement. I want to engage me a little bit, touch my butt like 20 minutes before you come to the bedroom or something. Like, something. Give me like a high sign that there's going to be, that you're interested, that you're feeling soft towards me, that you're feeling attracted to me. Don't just come and hit me with, let's do this right now and right here. Let there be something leading up before that that's going to make me feel like, oh my God, he wants me. I feel pretty now. Like, maybe I'm just stupid that way. I don't know. But I feel like a lot of women operate on that same platform, and we just acquiesce because historically, societally, that's kind of like the way we're programmed to, all right, this is as good as it's going to get in a long-term married relationship. And I object to that. It's offensive.
Okay, so
Go ahead. No, go Peach. I was waiting on you to say something so long, so you go ahead. Go.
So what about in a situation like he was saying, the guy likes to chase? Would you rather a guy not touch you and sleep with you when he's out there chasing behind somebody else? Because they have men that do that. And it's kind of a slippery slope. But then they also have some men, I know a lot of men, even in my own family, they will literally sleep with their wife and the next day go out and sleep with the other woman, and the woman has no idea. So which would you rather? The guy who at least respects you enough not to be double dipping, or the guy who says, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna, keep my wife happy. And at the same time, I'm gonna go out here and chase this other woman that fulfills my fantasy for the moment.
But don't you think some of that becomes evident? Like, I think that there's, I'm just, so going back in time, I know there was a gentleman I dated. We had a long term relationship who was in that chase mentality. And I thrived on it. It was the cat's meow. I mean, I would intentionally like tease him. You'd be like, no, I don't know if you've earned it. Like, like, but in a playful way, not like a serious way. Like, there would be a whole lot of lead in, like, are we, aren't we? What are you, like that back and forth dynamic. And it was sexy and it was hot when you get somebody, when like Raider was saying, their love language and you can start to pull those strings a little bit to really engage each other on a different level than just sexually and emotionally. You're engaging mentally so that you are engaging that feral, that lizard brain, that male lizard brain for the chase, for the hunt. But you just need to know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, but this is the thing. What happens when he gets tired of it?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking of.
I mean, at some point, the guy's gonna get tired of that cat and mouse game. Eventually, they're gonna say, you know what? While she playing this game, I'm gonna go see Becky down the street. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I guess
That's
at that
always
point,
good.
like, I mean, I always looked at that guy as like he was not marriage material, so I probably would have never married him because I mean, like, there's relationships where you have like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry. I hope this does not offend anyone, but where you have arm candy, who's just good for the bump and tickle. Then you've got boyfriend material, right? And then you've got husband material. And I think everybody, and I think the same thing goes with men. You've got girls who are, you're never going to marry them. You might not even date them. And then you've got the ones that you date. And then there's the ones where you're like, yes, this is the one I'm keeping. So yeah, I mean, I just think if you get married, there has to be some sort of understanding about what the expectations are and the conversations. I just don't know that we're having it. Hands are going up. Oh my God,
with
I'm about to get in so much trouble.
all my siblings, I can say this first off. Some are faithful, some
I'll be
aren't.
right back.
But I'll say this from what I've learned from growing up around a ton of brothers and siblings and family. They can have the perfect wife at home and still go out there and find someone else to be with. And it's not because they don't have the perfect wife at home. It's because they get bored and they want something a little different. And even if they have a set type of woman, maybe a certain look, the other woman may look just like the wife, maybe a younger version, or she may have a totally different personality. But the whole idea is it's a totally different woman because they already have you at home.
I hate these kind of men. Then what? Okay, I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
You go first.
No, the thing is, like, what I learned is that the men, and I don't know how it is about women, so you'll have to enlighten me on that. But men who easily go for something else, find something else, as Peach said, like could look the same but like different personality or whatever, either haven't grown up or have a midlife crisis.
Also, on top of that, you got to think about
one out of two. Like that will be one out of two. Either not grown up or have midlife crisis. Because if the man has any brains in him, like he won't just give up.
Yeah, I agree with that. You also got to think about there's one more. What if when it comes down to that significant other that puts on the show that they're that perfect other one, so everybody thinks that's what's happening. But at home, it's like you described, the woman that didn't do anything, but she puts on that show like I'm super mom. I take care of my kids all the time. So with that, but at home she doesn't deal with them, and the husband's working and dealing with them. Then you're like the guy's like in his head's like, why am I putting up with this when I can just deal with the kids when I need to work, and I don't know where my balance is because I'm just literally sitting here and doing this stuff when I know for a fact she's home, or she's home sleeping all day, or going hang out with friends, and like the kids are basically one's old enough to watch them, but so she's doing whatever the hell she wants to, and you're home, you're working, thinking that she's doing this, she's actually trying to be there and actually trying. But
No,
then
but that is the difference. That is the difference between like that is just wrong on so many levels. But we are talking about like why do men leave women
I'm
who are
going,
basically like ideal for them?
I know, but most times when you look at somebody that's ideal for you, it's never usually who you truly end up with because you don't know what truly is good for you. You really never do. Like if you go back, let's go 10 years back, introduce my wife, I would have said, no, not even my type. Not hell no. This time nothing about it at all. But now I'm like, yeah, I don't see my life going forward without her, which is the weirdest thing I could ever say for me. So it's one of those
You
things
just went
that
deep, didn't you?
it's one of those things that just it makes it weird because my I my definition of ideal woman is honestly my wife, and she has her off days, she has her good days, and a lot of it, unfortunately, the off days in my standpoint is the emotional days because I'm not that emotionally type of person. Like I try, but unfortunately, what I can tell China all the time, when a man tries to help someone help a woman with something, it comes out no matter what wrong.
I think a little differently, or at least my experiences are different, especially with my current partner. It's really funny that I think he's the more emotional one and I'm the more rational one. It's very, I'm enjoying this conversation, but it's just like everything is opposite for me.
And that's a good thing though, because you have different
Yeah,
dynamics of it, so you can just like tell us.
it's it, it's like I get from him all the time. It's like, oh, I miss you, I love you, I want to spend more time with you, and I'm sitting here like coming home from work. I'm like, I just want a couple of hours to myself.
I don't
So
know,
that
Jay. Where? Oh, so go ahead, Jinky. Sorry, I was going to
no,
ask you a
it
question.
go ahead. I that was pretty much my point.
But Jay, I just wanted to ask you one little question. So on the spectrum there, would you consider yourself the more logical or the emotional in your relationships?
Logical.
Okay, so you're on the logical end. So you're basically in Raiders camp.
I mean, I understand with emotions, like, you know what I mean? Like, I respect it, but it's like one of those things, if we're not on the same page, then how are we gonna be able to maintain?
Exactly.
I agree with that. That's overall though. If you can't be, that's like you can't make sure everything's maintained in the long run. Who's it helping? Who's it hurting?
But that's just it though. What are you maintaining if at the end of the day it all falls apart because you didn't maintain the relationship itself? Like if you're focused on the money and not the physical or emotional connection, what do you have at the end of the day?
See,
Well, go ahead.
I
I've been
honestly
talking too
feel
much.
I honestly feel like time is precious and you can't take it back. So if you're in a relationship, if you're in a marriage, I mean, you have to make that time for your significant other. If you don't, then what are you doing?
Okay,
Exactly.
what about those situations where you're in a relationship with someone or a marriage with someone and you're in it for the children? And then after that time period, I mean, at some point, it's got to give. The kids are going to grow up, you
It
know?
never works out. You're going to be
Exactly.
miserable. I don't condone it. I mean, there's been many situations where I had friends, they say, oh, I'm only here with this person because of the kids. It never works out. It only gets worse in
And
the
it
end.
damages the children.
Yeah,
And the reason I know that
Exactly.
there's a book called The 25-Year Legacy of Divorce. And in this book, it went through different scenarios with people who stayed together, had kids, and were miserable. People who got divorced were happier, and the kids had time. But it was like it was a wide array of scenarios. I'm not going to go through them all, but it was interesting because the kids who were in the unhealthy relationship where the parents stayed together solely because of them had a very bad and flawed blueprint of what a healthy relationship looked like because that's their earliest exposure to a relationship. So now you're saying, okay, here's the unhealthy blueprint, have at it. It's I can understand why people would do that, but at the same time, the impacts have been proven out over a long-term study that it's not healthy and that they carry those behavior patterns with them through adulthood.
And I see that a lot, not just because of that standpoint, but because you have to add into that financial standpoint. When they split, people won't leave. They won't leave, and when they do leave, the other person feels like they're guilted into staying to provide because you care about those kids so much, even though you know for a fact that you you know for a fact that hey, I have to still do this, but fuck, I do it all the time. I say fuck my happiness, and I make sure that the kids are good. I say it all the time, and everybody's like, "That's wrong." I say, "No, it's not." Because guess what? These children need to have something. They can't explain it themselves. They can't do it themselves yet. And at times, I tell myself I'm just overly frustrated because I get so much minimal time to focus on myself or anything I truly want to do. I do like I hate to say it like this. Me went to stream. I went to stream because that was the only thing I could. That's the only thing I could do. I couldn't do anything I want to do. Like I love going to the mountains. I love rock climbing. I like doing things like that. I like doing going away for like a week or two, out no technology, no nothing. I love that. Can't do that.
I agree on that one. Like I have been into like that part where the same person she was guilt tripping. Like once you had a bigger argument, once I first said like you know what this is not gonna work out like that. She'll be I'm gonna go and tell kids that you're leaving. Like bitch, we haven't split up yet, and you are already
Yeah,
like doing that like because like that was the biggest part when we split. Like they weren't my kids, but I missed them. I missed them more than I missed her, and it was crazy. And on what Shani said about staying together, like and all that, like staying together for the kids and all that, I had the best blueprint for that because I had a lot of arguments with my dad when I was a teenage, early teenage years and all that. And once I asked my mom, like, why did not, why didn't you get involved in all that? She said, you are my son, I love you, but you are not the person I'm gonna spend my life with.
yeah.
Sort your shit out.
I agree with that. And B Money, the illest fucking packs because guess what? That right there is the main reason I never want to get married in the first place. But because of other aspects of situations, like certain situations, like say stepkids, something like that comes involved. If you're not, guess what happens? You got
It's
zero right to say any choice there is. So sometimes the marriage thing has to happen. So it's one of those things of do you care about those kids and everything like that? Or could this potentially make them be taken away from the person you love because of certain situations like that? And it's everybody's situation is different. So, but yeah, I agree with I hate how marriage was. Marriage used to be a ceremony, a real ceremony, not a taxable farm. So I agree with that.
I'm going to disagree because I
Why?
mean, like, my parents got divorced in the 80s, and my father was a prolific cheater that I'm starting to now just get all the details on. Um, I don't love him any less. He's still my father. And it took one divorce for me to kind of understand that if you have not chosen wisely your partner, um, that it's very difficult to sustain. Did he go about it the right way? Absolutely not. But I can certainly recognize both my parents as individuals and see that they never should have been together at all. Like it made sense on paper, but personality wise, based on what they needed, based on who they were, their backgrounds, none of that. There was no meshing, no glue to hold them together, nothing. Um, so, I mean, I like what you're saying about the ceremony of it all, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. It just seems like we don't need to get married and just understand that after 20 years, that's a long time to spend with somebody or whatever it is for whomever, like you should be allowed to just say, okay, you know what, we were together for this period of time. Let's be friends. Let's not be bitter about it, but let's just understand that That's a long time for people to commit and to say, hey, I'm going to work my ass off, but for what? At what cost? If we're not putting in the time, why are we getting married? If we don't believe in nurturing the relationship, we have to have realistic expectations of what the end results are going to be.
I agree.
Well, yeah. Oh, you go.
Uh, okay. I get that. The reason why I said it the way I said it, though, I wasn't saying that. Yeah, it still needs to be on paper. No, it's just for, let's say, like I said, certain situations, like let's say the bio whatever is the most toxic person and actually causes the children harm. That's why I said it is safer that way. Because guess what? If I'm out with the kids and I don't have that no proof like that, guess what happens? If he shows up, I have to let him take them.
Yeah.
That is, and then guess what happens? It goes back to square one or worse. And that's why I said certain situations it is a reason for it, which it makes sense of why they do that. But again, it's one of those things that I don't agree with how it is. I agree that hey, guess what? The mom signs paperwork. I've taken them to Texas with me, and I told her, said, hey, sign this paperwork just in case. And everybody says, well, why are you worried about blah blah blah? Say, well, let's see here. We're in North Carolina, a melting pot. Going to be driving to Texas through all these states that's not 100% a melting pot. And I got two blonde hair, blue eyed children with me.
Yeah, I
So
see where you're going.
I'm
Yeah.
like, do this paperwork right, sign it off, get it done right. That way, no issue can happen. And if it does happen, they'll be like, oh, okay, never mind. My bad. And I look at them like, look, no, I appreciate it because I'd rather have that happen than, oh, no, don't worry about it because there's so many children and stuff like that this happens to that nobody checks at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can go ahead,
Yeah,
Peachy.
that's on marriage, but like I say, like for the marriage to happen, like that would be time. Like by that time, you should know that one is workaholic and one is sitting at home and all that. And there should be a balance between work and that together time, that quality time, as we would call it. Like if there is no quality time, there will be no marriage.
Yeah.
Simple,
Yeah,
simple as like. But again, that would require both sides, the workaholic side and the other side, to work together to come to a conclusion. This works.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in order to get married, I feel like there should be like a questionnaire that everybody has to fill out, right? And it goes down everything: sex, love, commitment, work, responsibilities, all those things that are commonly causing cracks in a marriage, and just kind of saying, let's make sure that we're really on the same page about all this stuff. Who's going to do what? What's the expectation? Where's your mindset at? Because I think a lot of people don't have those conversations, and then you're left kind of saying, hey, this isn't what I thought it was. Or you go through a period of dating for, say, 3 years, right? I mean, what would we say, like the averages? I mean, I know it seems to be about like 3 to 5 years maybe when people get married.
uh, actually, between 1 year and 5.
All
If
right,
they
so
get
fair
there
enough.
that fast, that's why.
Perfect. 1 to 5 years is the average before somebody gets married. How much do you really know about somebody in that time? I mean, they say the first 2 to 3 years is the honeymoon phase before y'all start to get real with each other. So then it's like, okay, now you've got 2 more years of still that nice, cushy phase, and you're getting married, and now shit starts getting real. Now maybe you spend the first year of your marriage going around, going traveling, doing fun stuff together. Yay, we're so together. We make a great, wonderful couple. And then you start having a couple kids. Now you start testing the marriage. Now you have another kid. Now you're getting really tested. Who's going to do what? Now the bills come, and now it's like, okay, shit. Now we got to pay for daycare, diapers, and formula. That's the most expensive shit out there. And then daycare. I mean, like, you don't have those conversations and just have all the answers. But if there's a little forethought into it by having that questionnaire, like, maybe we can all do a better job of just getting on the same page. Like, I'll tell you this much. I didn't know my husband was a specific political party that was different than my own when we got married or when we first got together. And then now it's just kind of like this polar opposites. Now, granted, we're okay. I allow him to do his thing. I'm allowed to do my thing, and we don't fight about it. It's just like I can't watch certain news channels with him because I want to throw my shoe at the goddamn TV. And he's like, "What's your problem?" And I'm like, "I'm out. I'm gonna go upstairs."
Yeah, but you see, like that's the thing. Like, when we talk about like sorting things out, making things work, and all that, we come to that we are kind of old school. Like, I'm not a spring chicken no more. Like, I do think about old school, and we were taught that if there's something broken, we try to fix it. When you look at all the like young, like, because like when you would look at the divorce statistics, they would be 20s, they would be in their 20s, the most divorced couples. Like, they are like generation after us, like, and we spoiled them. We were getting them everything we couldn't get ourselves, and they have thought like, oh, there's something broken, they just get a new one. They haven't grown up with the thing like, if you want something nice, you have to keep it alive, you have to nurture it, you have to fix it, you have to like just be real with it. Like, oh, it's easy to like just like discard it and get a new one. And unfortunately, like on a like material side, that comes down to the emotional side as well. Like, ah, she's grinding my nerves, let's get a new girlfriend, let's get a new person, like, let's get that Becky down the street because she's always smiling at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think too, you have to allow for the fact that maybe that mentality isn't going to fix what's ultimately broke. Maybe you're just too different because you guys didn't put enough time into sorting out, were we truly compatible in the beginning? So, I mean, I understand. I would want to have that mentality of fix it, but you also have to examine, is it worth fixing? Right?
Exactly.
Like, or are we just at a point where it's just not going to work and we're just going to be miserable even if we try and fix what's broke? Go ahead, Jinkies.
Yeah. It's like I was going to go back, like, oh, man. Excuse me. But what happens with a situation like mine where you get married? Because you were talking about, maybe they should have like that checklist.
Yeah.
They lie on a checklist kind of thing, where they say that they're going to be doing all of this stuff. They feel some sort of way, but in all actuality, they don't. What they're trying to do is maybe just use you to get across country to go be with another woman and using the money from the wedding to get there.
Oh my God. Okay, well, clearly
Like,
the sooner you find that out.
Yeah, it's like those are the kind of situations that happen. They're not common, but they happen, where people just aren't honest and they're trying to use you for whatever reason.
Well, in the
I loved your face palm, by the way.
in a situation when we discuss marriage and using and finances and children, really, when you think about it, what Raider said, when you go back and look in the original times of marriage, it was not for love. Marriage was never originally for love, the legal marriage. It was for financial gain. It was for you to use the other person with more money to get the family ahead. If you go back to European times, Native Americans didn't do a marriage ceremony. They did a union ceremony, and they could have multiple wives. I mean, different cultures did that. But when they start making it a financial institution, when they start making insurance need you to have a marriage license to get the insurance money or custody of kids, that's when marriage, it really was like, okay, more popular, because they actually made it to where, okay, we know it's for financial reasons. We know there's fraud involved in this because people are lying. They don't love each other. They're together for the families want them to be together. It's arrangements. So now it's kind of like customary. It's become almost something that from Europe has come to the US, and it's like, okay, in this marriage, we're not just going to have the church do this. We're going to actually go on and just legalize it and let it be known this is a contract. It's a business arrangement. And that's really what marriage has become because sadly, that's what it started out as. It just wasn't on paper.
And you're right, 100% right. Because, like you said, it was about getting your stature higher, like getting to that next tier instead of staying down here where the rest of your family are. Let's get my child to that next tier because I know they have a son. He's their firstborn. And they don't have somebody for him to marry. I get that, and I understand that, and I've looked into that a whole lot and just understanding everything, saying, hey, let's look at the U.S. government. Let's look at how marriage has changed from the 60s to now, how they changed
Yeah.
different laws, regulations, everything like that. Like, used to, you could be, like, was it 15 or something like that? 15 or 12
Yep.
to get married. And now it's like, no, you got to be 18. You got to make sure that, you're in the right mind now. You can't do it because too many people have taken benefits from it. And in my head, you got to think to yourself, like, why do you have to say this out loud?
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Way back in the day when you had more arranged marriages and that whole for status and
Yeah.
money and whatnot, okay,
Mhm.
right? Cheating was more acceptable.
Yeah.
And here was the understanding was that the woman, as soon as she gave birth to at least, I guess,
The boy.
one, perhaps two males,
An area.
Mhm.
go ahead, do whatever you want, because he certainly was, if he
Yeah.
wasn't already by that
Uh,
point.
I don't know
It
about
matters
that. The
if they're
women had a different standard. It was a double standard. The
Oh,
men
for
had
sure.
more free reign, but the women, even if they cheated, it depends on the husband that they
Well, it
married.
depends, sure, on the
It
husband, the
had to be
culture,
hush. It
etc.
had to be quiet. And also, you got to
Oh
consider
yeah,
back then they didn't have DNA testing. So,
yes,
I
yeah,
mean,
100%. But I'm just saying, again, the understanding was give him at least one, two male heirs, and then whatever happened after that, as long as it wasn't public knowledge and you weren't caught and there was no public scandal,
true.
good to go.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is just, it just breaks my heart, like that we're here now having these conversations and it feels like it's time eternal, right? Like it just seems to always be this way, that you're always going to have some sort of reasoning for discourse that we're not going to necessarily get. But I feel like by having the conversation, by being open about it, maybe that helps somebody who's going into that situation to maybe take a hot second and say, let's talk about it. Let's really deep dive. Are we really compatible? It's hard when
Yeah.
you're in that first 5 years because you're overwhelmed with the honey dewdrop of love and wanting to make it work, and you're just kind of got the rose colored glasses on and whatnot, but then shit gets real. And if you haven't had those conversations prior to, you're looking for a breakdown.
Well, I think it depends on if you live with the person first or not. Because people can say whatever they want to you on the weekend and on a date and over the phone and the internet. But once you actually spend like a good 3 to 6 months with the person, you kind of get the gist of who they are,
Mm-hmm.
And by a year, I mean, if y'all don't have kids together, usually around that time, you know exactly what you're getting into. The only downside is most religions don't condone living together and being intimate before marriage, even though a lot of people do it.
Mm-hmm.
But especially in the South, it's not really acceptable even now. You the talk of the
Really?
town. Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
now?
If you
For
if
real?
you we could they call it shacking up. If you
Checking.
shack up together, oh yeah, you the talk of the
Wait, you're
town.
kidding me, right? Like that.
No,
No,
Like at what point does this start? Like how south do we have to go for this?
it matters. It
Bible
starts with
Belt.
Georgia.
Bible
You
Belt.
go
Like
Bible.
what's
Yep.
like what's the ramifications?
It's because most
It's a
people have
stigma.
that religious standing in their town.
Hmm.
It's everybody goes to church on Sunday, Wednesday. Sometimes Saturday services. You go in there, you do it. All of a sudden, they have their kid that's let's say 15, 14, or 16, and emancipates themselves, so they're their own adult. They go stay with their lady or boy, guy, whatever it is. They stay with them and they live together.
Yeah.
Well, it's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And you're like, oh yeah, you heard your son's shacking up over there? and it's just not accepted.
And then
Right.
it's told to the other kids, don't be like that person, cause
Yeah,
see that person, and don't let them have a kid in that time frame. Oh, y'all should have got married. Y'all need to get
yeah.
married because y'all got a kid together. They
Why
kind
do you
of teach you that through, the family and through the church that
No.
it's
Welcome back to
unacceptable.
Stone Age.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
why do you
Oh,
think I'm currently not staying with my boyfriend when I'm here in the South and I live in a religious area and I have religious folks? It would look bad upon them, even though I'm like, I'm really tired of it. And then I would hear it, they would hear it, they would be, yeah, it's a thing. That's
Shiny,
it's
I
happening right
totally.
now.
This is that moment when you say, "Let's Bonnie and Clyde," then everyone.
Yeah,
I'm
this
like,
happens.
what? I'm like,
It happened a lot.
It's
what
the basis for a
universe did
lot
I
of
just step
marriages.
into?
No, but it's the basis for a lot of marriages in the South. It's not that they want to be married. It's
Yeah.
because
So then
you
why does
have no
everybody
choice.
bow to this pressure? Just stop going to church.
Oh, it's even worse
Oh
if
no,
you
you don't need
divorce.
no.
That's a
Because
What do you
stigma as
mean?
well.
Whoa,
What do you mean no?
whoa! You just
I
went
mean, church is
no.
such an
deep.
antiquated. I mean, it's engineered by men to begin with. So I mean, like,
I did
well,
stop
here's
going, but like I said, it affects my family. It affects
it
them
does. It
because
affects your
so
family standing and
can't
everywhere.
they just pretend to disown you?
No,
I don't
it doesn't
want to
work
be
that way. They
disowned.
actually
No,
have
no, no,
to.
no, not actually disowned.
No,
Pretend.
you're
Just
right.
be
You're
like,
right.
oh,
Don't
we
work
don't
like
talk to her
that.
anymore.
Okay, here's the
And then you
downside of
have
that.
like a great comeback story later on when you do get married.
Here's the downside of
Doesn't work
that.
like that.
Yeah, most people's families are involved with the church. It's not just they go there. So
Mhm.
their free time, that all this free time stuff, they spend it there.
Yeah.
They make friends with everybody that's there. So no matter what, everything is involved and circled around that. My grandfather was a preacher of our church, so I was always, I mean, always, if I did anything, whether it's just
And
being a kid,
yeah.
just just doing anything, he knew about it before my own mama did.
Hmm.
What?
Oh
My
yeah.
So
dad, my dad was a counselor in the bishopric, which meant he was heavy-handed in the church activities. Everyone knew him. He was looked highly upon, and I still have that problem to this day as an adult because he's still that way.
And it's in the school system too. In the
oh yeah,
school system, if
What?
you're pregnant, your teenage pregnancy, I mean, they talk about you, they shame you. It's
I mean
common,
that happens
and
everywhere,
especially
honestly.
in
It's not
I
just
religion,
mean,
Catholic, Baptist, Methodist. I mean, Episcopal. I mean, whatever. In the South,
wait.
regardless of your religion,
yep,
you have a kid out of wedlock, you shack up and have a kid out of wedlock. Whatever it is, it's gonna all come down to you have to do the right thing and get married. And don't divorce. Oh, if you divorce, who's at fault? They're gonna find fault in somebody because they need something to talk about. And you
yep,
basically, unless you leave that area, move to like a city where nobody knows you, no one cares. As long as you're in that small community or a couple of communities over, even, they're gonna know and they're gonna judge you
So
based on that.
leave.
they
Which is
Everybody
do.
why
can't afford to leave.
But they always
that's
come back home. Everybody always comes back home to see
Yeah.
mom or dad. Somebody always comes back home.
And think about it.
It's
If you
important.
leave, your
But
parents are stuck with that stigma. They're gonna be
Yeah,
told you were a bad mother, you were a bad
but don't your
father,
parents
you didn't
want you to
raise
be
her right.
happy? Doesn't your happiness count
they
for
do.
anything?
They do.
Well,
But the same difference is,
you want your
how can they
parents to
help
be
you be
you
happy.
want
happy?
your parents to
Exactly.
be happy and proud of you.
No, I don't. No, I'm the
Well, we're
black sheep
talking
of my
about in the
family, and I
South.
don't give a
Yes, the South.
fork.
The South is
This is
always about that.
No, I'd rather go with
In the South
infamy
is
and be the
family
black
first.
sheep. Nope, no,
In the South
absolutely
is
not.
family
Nope.
first. They
Yeah,
have
Mm-mm.
to get along with the spouse, or it's gonna be a
Nay.
situation where
Okay,
you're
wait a minute,
outsiders.
wait a minute. Now, when my parents were married and we lived in Texas from the time that I was 6 months old to 7 years old, I know that whole neighborhood, which I found out later. I didn't know at the time because I was a little kid. Nobody tells little kids these types of things. Apparently, they were all swingers. So, what's the point of being married with somebody who I, I'm, I'm
It
can someone hit the
happens.
emotional
it
damage
is
button
that way.
right now because I can't
you,
function. I can't
I think we
process
broke
this.
Shiny.
I think we did.
Oh,
This
no.
is
Process this.
Shani, this is just the simplest
It's
thing of the
just a
South.
Southern culture. It's just our
Yeah,
way.
because like
It's just simple
when
part.
my marriage fell apart, even though it was totally my husband's fault, I stopped going to church because they blamed me for not
Mhm.
holding a marriage together.
Yes,
What
they
the
blame the woman.
What?
If,
alternate reality am I listening to? This is not
if the man cheats,
no.
this is the thing. If the
No.
man cheats
I
and
think
say,
Shiny
you
is not
tell
gonna
your
move
grandma,
south.
you know what they gonna say? What my
Oh, no.
nana would say?
I'm
Well, you
moving
didn't
south
you
now,
didn't
and I'm
do
gonna
enough.
have like I'm freaking leave a trail of destruction behind
But
me. I'm gonna like
It don't work that way.
I don't
Like,
care.
no matter how
I'm
much,
making it work that way.
I thought,
I'm rolling into church in the best hoochie outfit I can muster, and I'm gonna seduce that
Best what outfit?
priest, whoever's leading that sermon.
well, that happens anyway.
it happens, and
I'm
then
wrecking
it's,
that church. I'm gonna film it, and then I'm gonna launch that film, and I'm gonna make him a star, and I'm
That
gonna
happens
expose
all the
him. And I
time.
say, this is why religion sucks.
Could you? When's the premiere?
You're gonna have to compete with the new generation that wear the mini
Yeah.
skirts and sit on the front row with their boobs out.
I can do that. I can totally do that. Watch me fly. I'm gonna start leaving a trail of like
Radical clip it.
destruction.
Radical clip it.
Radical, don't you dare. Not
I already did
allowed.
it.
No.
I already did it. I got it.
Y'all gonna have to teach me how to clip other people's stuff. I suck
I
at it.
got you.
Okay. Well, we have 8 minutes left to the top of the hour. Do we want to go through any closing thoughts here? Because y'all just broke me.
Yeah, I
I
got one. I got one. Shiny, don't go down south.
I'm rolling.
Stay east and west, especially
There's
west.
a brown Volvo in an illegal parking space. Please move or it'll be towed. Yeah, no, I got this. I'm going south. Watch me.
Yeah, Radical. I appreciate you for not clipping that. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, in general, yeah, like it is like
If you do come down south, stay in the city.
Yes.
Don't come to the small towns in the
Don't come
country.
small town countries.
Nope.
Because
Nope. Coming down with like some big ass Camaro.
But on topic with he said, she said, yeah, like both sides need to be open and actually work with each other if they want to like make it work. Between work and wanting some quality time and all that, there is some that little narrow road where both sides are happy, but
Yeah, I agree
both
with that.
sides needs to work on it. If
Yeah.
that is not going to happen, like on one side or another, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
So you
Well-
want your relationship to work. Be open and work. It's hard grind. All the little happy moments, all the nice little pictures in a family album where you all smile and all that. In between them pictures, there's a lot of hard work together.
I agree with that.
I have one question I wanted to ask Shiny. I'm sorry, Rita.
Go ahead.
It's about marriage and military. What is
Okay.
your opinion on people getting married when they join the military? And
Talking
are
about
active
contract
duty?
marriages.
Don't.
Talking about
Don't.
the contract marriages.
I'm just saying, for me personally, as much as I loved that man, as much as I was head over heels in love with him, I know I couldn't do it. And that's just me owning up to that reality. As much as that would hurt and it would suck, I feel like I would rather leave him open to find somebody who could fulfill that need in him. As much as I loved him in that moment, I would set him free. I would set myself free, and I wouldn't put either of us through that purgatory to end up in a space where we are full of hate and bitterness. I don't want to ever do that. You know, I would never want to do that to someone.
So you're saying if say you weren't in a situation like you were single and you met someone and they were about to go into the service active duty and they said, hey, before I go over here, just in case something happens to me, marry me. You would not do it.
No.
It takes a strong individual to be able to do that.
Yeah, I know myself. I'm emotionally weak. I need I need, and that's just it. You need to know what you need. I know I need that physical interaction. I know I need touch. I know I need those things to light me up inside to be in a relationship. I can be happy by myself. But if I'm with somebody, then there's that expectation that I'm going to be sharing, that there's going to be commitment, that there's going to be love, that there's going to be partnership, that there's going to be, that euphoria that comes with building a relationship, that satisfaction of a we, not a me over here by myself and you over there by yourself. I can't do it. Maybe I'm sure there's women who are strong enough. Obviously, my grandmother was a military woman. My grandfather was military. I'm just not that strong mentally or emotionally to be able to handle that. I want love in my life. I would prefer to have some type of loving interaction every single day of my life. Whether it's a text, whether it's an all day, banter, whatever it is, that's what I want in my life. And I can admit that. Anyone else? I mean, do you all feel that you could sustain a military relationship? Like if you knew you were going to ship out and not see because that's trust.
I've done it before. So it's one of those things. I was the one deployed. I
But it
came
could have
back
been
home
easy.
to the other. Honestly, how it goes is you don't think about the other one when you're over there because you have to worry about making it alive the next day.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. Everybody's like, well, I miss him so much. I miss her so much. No, dude, they ain't thinking about you. It's we're trying to make it to tomorrow. We're trying to make it to lunch. Yeah. We're trying to make sure my boys and sisters, everything like that, are good to lunch, till everything like that. Everything's like, why do you want to go back there? It's because honestly, it was the easiest thing I ever had to do in my life. It was simple. Nope, not complicated. It was do your job, make it the next day, be done with it, go to sleep, wake up, repeat. Guess what? I don't got to think about offending somebody over here. I don't think about am I going to be on time over here. You were on time every day because you had your boys with you the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was simple. It was camaraderie. It was people were real. It was raw, real commitment and actually camaraderie. And nobody else understands that standpoint because they think that, oh yeah, I got my best friend here. Cool. Is your best friend gonna jump on that grenade? Because I would for my boys. Like for a spouse, even though everybody says I'd say I would die for my wife instantly, any day. But it's still not in the same level. Because you have to learn those things. And marriage, honestly, is more difficult to learn.
Yeah.
I think I could do it. I had a really good role model in my mother. And also, as I said, I am more logical. Yeah, I need the emotion, but I don't need it as much because I think I've been through so much. It's just kind of not something that I crave. But my dad was in the Air Force, and I grew up with my dad being gone 6 weeks at a time and being home for only 2. And he did that. He retired after I think 30 years in the Air Force. So it was my whole childhood up until I was about 15 years old. So it's something I've learned that I could possibly do.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I think would be the easiest because I saw how my mom suffered.
Right.
I agree. Me too. I'm an Air Force brat.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it not because of the meeting the person there. It would be difficult when I do see the person to kind of get that connection back after they've been gone for such a long time. It would be very difficult for me on that point.
And they may not come back the same person.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Being in the military, a lot of things can change.
Yeah, and that itself is how is a downside because not only does the whoever's deployed come back different, the person at home has been holding the house down, doing everything. The ones that are the good ones don't need somebody again to help them anymore. They get their own 2 feet under them completely like a rock, and they become that supermodel, that super person that's that perfect spouse. Everything like that. They get home, all of a sudden the husband comes home or wife comes home. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that," and they're just in there. They got their own way of doing things now. It interrupts their whole flow, even though they miss them. This, that, and third. They come home and it's like, and you let's say like me, I take the trash out, and they're like, "No, that's tomorrow. I'll do that stuff." I was like, whoa, calm down. And I drove to take the dog. I said, no, he already went out. Like they handle everything themselves, handle the kids, handle the house, do all the bills, finances. They get it to go to a whole nother level that the other person can't keep up with at that standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right because now it's there's still that disruption and like Peach just said, you're learning that person all over again essentially.
Yeah, and you kind of get used to missing the person.
Yep.
It's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's true. Like
It
once
is
they're
true.
there, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like,
If I'm missing you, something's wrong. I don't want to have to
well, that's the
miss.
thing. Once it gets to that point, you miss them, but you don't miss them
No,
because you're just used to them not being there. So then when they are there, it's weird. It's a weird situation
Yeah.
because you don't really know how to respond to the person, and you've become a totally more independent person than they expect you to be.
I guess so. And I guess as I've gotten older, I feel less willing to compromise on my emotional happiness, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like at this point, I'm like, if I'm not happy, why am I here? Right?
and I get that. I get that a whole lot. I just don't. I find different reasons on that standpoint because I know for a fact that dealing with the miserable time I'm dealing with now doesn't mean it's going to be the whole time because I know why I'm going through this stuff right now is because time, kids, honestly, to both work jobs, opposite shift jobs too. So there's not much of time. And then she wants when the other one wants time. I'm over here like, no, I finally get to breathe for a second.
Yeah.
So it's always going to coincide with that until we get it to a good schedule to work right.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, in your situation, you don't intend to work this hard for that long, correct? If I
Yeah,
understood you correctly when we talked yesterday, like your plan was, okay, maybe you grind it out for 5 years, right? And
yeah,
you do what you can in between to try and put in some effort, still at your peril, but it's not a permanent thing where in a different situation if a person is just designed and engineered to work and that's what makes them happy, that's what fulfills them first and foremost over everything else, and that's not ever going to change. Now you're looking at something different
yeah.
because the outcome is just there's no effort to change the outcome.
Yeah, I want, like I said, my goal is to build a dynasty, but I want it to run autonomously,
Right.
something like that, so I don't have to put my hands in it. So I let it work for itself.
Right.
Like
So
I
you're
talked
so
to
it's like you have
yeah,
a goal, like
yes,
a
I have a
5 year
goal.
plan
Yeah,
essentially. I get that. Well, last call for final thoughts here. This has been a very dramatic evening, and I just want to say thank you all for being very open, candid, and honest again. I'm gonna have to go to therapy, I think, and think about whether or not the South is the place for me. Clearly doesn't seem to be unless I get to Florida. So
Florida's not the South.
yeah, Florida seems to be a little different. Even like the Carolinas, is that still true in the Carolinas? Like North
Yes,
Carolina doesn't seem
yes.
like it'd be
It matters which area.
all right.
If you go to a military town, no. If you go to a very small rural town,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
All right. All right. Well, once again, thank you all for being here. We're going to try and find some peoples to raid out to. OJ, you got something for me? Bring it.
I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in on Shiny Heroes' behalf, and then also for the Tula supports. And I just want to say we love you guys, and thank you for coming in, and we'll see you next time. Also, we do have somebody that is part of the Too Lit. She's newer, and she is pushing for affiliate. So if you wouldn't mind sticking around for that, I would really appreciate that.
Do we want to raid out to her?
It would be amazing if we did.
What's her name? Give us the name.
Let me see. I'm gonna put it in here.
Do we know if she's streaming right now?
She is. I'm on it. It's actually Crazy Star's sister-in-law.
Oh, I forget her name.
I just put it in. I just put the link in private chat.
Wait, my private chat? Wait, where?
And here, StreamYard.
I see it.
I see it. Yeah.
I don't see it.
Okay, you see how it's comments on the top? There's also a private chat on the
okay,
left.
I see.
There you go.
Okay. I'm a little slow, but we'll get there. All right. Let's see. Let me write it down one more time before I forget and foul this all up. Of course, I have a feeling Radical's probably going to beat me to it.
Probably.
But let's see. Assault Queen 17. It's all one. Okay, it's all one word. Well, this has definitely been a party and a half here. I can't even say thank you enough for everybody's participation. I hope you all had fun. I mean, was this at least like what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it was better than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
To be honest, I thought it was going to be chaotic. Just to be honest, but it didn't. So
Yeah, I was thinking
kudos
a bit
to
of a
y'all.
train wreck maybe at some point, but I think it stayed well. I'm with Jay.
I'm shocked and
That's-
appalled.
Look, this is why y'all the referees, okay? Y'all make sure I can't go off the tracks at all anymore.
Ugh. All right, Jay, are you ready on your side to pull the raid?
I'm not on there, but I mean, you are
Okay, because I can't.
editor, so y'all should be able to do that from y'all's end. Y'all are all the
I
admin
can't.
are editors.
I can't do it for the Tulit. Jinkies, can you set it up?
Give me just a second. I will give it a try because I am not on a computer.
All right.
Supermod Radical.
I know. What happened to Supermod Radical?
He got it.
He has it?
No, I don't know. I was saying he should got it. He should have it.
I can pull it up on the Tulit's behalf. 1 second.
Oh,
All right. Well, I'm going to raid out on my end so we can get those folks headed on out.
Okay.
All right. Love you guys on the Shiny Hero side. Love you guys on the other side too. But we're going to raid you out. Please show Assault Queen all the love and affection you can. Blow up her chat with all sorts of emojis. If you love her content, please give her a follow. All right. They're out on that side.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, nice. Nice glow. I love that. I'm going to echo that one.
Ah, couldn't type. Oh, yay! It switched.
Yep. All good?
Yeah, I switched it.
All right. I'm ending it.